Nigeria's Senate President Godswill Akpabio under fire for saying that insecurity in Nigeria has reduced. Akpabio made this statement just a day before 287 students were kidnapped in Kaduna State. Take a look at this reaction. Why is Akpabio always in a bulletproof car if there's no insecurity? Meaningful Nigerians, please always ignore Akpabio because we in Akwa Ibom State know that Akpabio was born into a family of liars and cheaters.
To the kidnappings in Kaduna State, where terrorists stormed the government secondary school in Chikun local government area of the state on Thursday morning. According to a teacher in the school who narrowly escaped, at least 280 students were kidnapped. The governor of the state, Uba Sani, has assured the people of the state that he will do everything within his powers to ensure the safe return of the abducted students.
What I can say here is that by the grace of God, under my able leadership, we will try as much as possible to ensure that every child return. By the grace of God, inshallah. We are doing our best. I'm going to work with the community leaders. I want to work with the traditional rulers here, as well as the youth, to ensure that every child return back home by the grace of God.
Well, all right. It's good to see that the governor, reacted swiftly by going to the school and also addressed the people of Kaduna State. But this is quite absurd at this moment. I mean, the call for state police cannot even be more louder at this point. I believe I spoke to some people at the government house and they talked about the fact that about 57 children escaped. 57. I just spoke to somebody early this morning in government house. About 57 of them have come back or they escaped from that incident. But I mean, it really borders down to securing our school system. Yeah. I heard you earlier this morning what has been done. I mean, 280 of them were kidnapped in broad daylight, early morning. And it's not just in Kaduna State this is happening. It's been happening in different parts of Nigeria, different states in the north. Let me take a tweet, if you can pull up that tweet, from Isa Mubarak, who wrote, 200 abducted in Borno, 280 school children abducted in Kaduna, 20+ university students were abducted in Zamfara 7 months ago. These are the ones that made it to the news. Only God knows what happens in those remote villages. And that's the pertinent question there. These are the ones that have been reported. Yes. What are the security agencies doing at this point? Well, in the meantime, the president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, just a day before the kidnappings, said that the insecurity level in the country has reduced drastically since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took office on May 29, 2023. Akpabio made the statement while contributing to a debate on a motion regarding the recent killings in Benue State. He noted that while the latest attack was an aberration, there was a recorded decrease in the frequency of major killings across the country.
I've not heard any comment from the government of Benue State. If 50 people are killed, or more than 50, and communities are being attacked, we will expect that the governor will either cry out or marshal out plans with the immediate security operatives within the Benue State to see what he can do before we start bringing the issue to the president. And I want to also assure you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, though he has not stayed long in office, is very concerned and supportive of the armed forces. And by the time the Senate meets with him, in conjunction with the House of Representatives, I believe that the resolutions that will come out with will benefit the entire country. It's a fact that, yes, since his assumption of duties, insecurity has abated. Major attacks are no longer taking place, but this one is just an aberration. And it will be brought to an end.
Seeing the Senate president here again, I mean, I don't know, speaking out of context, I don't know where he's getting his information from. Insecurity has reduced. Dr. Abati.
Okay, well, when the Senate president says insecurity has reduced, this is what government people say, government spokespersons. That's the claim they make. Didn't you hear the same thing under the Buhari administration? Now the Tinubu administration is also towing the same line, just to reassure the people. But I doubt if the Senate president can say this openly on the streets of Plateau State.
Nope.
all those local governments in Plateau State where houses have been attacked, repeatedly 2-3 times. I doubt if you can say that on the streets of Benue State that insecurity has reduced. I doubt if you can go to Chikun local government or Kachia local government of Kaduna State and tell the people and say insecurity has reduced. Now, if we take insecurity in an expanded sense, because insecurity doesn't only refer to your physical security, the threat to you physically. Food insecurity that we have been talking about, as food insecurity reduced, and the Senate President says what has happened in Benue is an aberration. Is it an aberration? What Nigerians have realized is that they are not safe at home.
No.
They are not safe on the streets. In fact, their stomach is no longer safe. Demons of hunger are threatening, their stomachs,
right,
because government has not been able to provide food for them. However, the only part of the Senate President's submission is that he says, well, the Senate would approach President Tinubu and work together with the President to see how plans can be worked out to make Nigeria a much safer place. That is what we want to hear.
Yeah.
But we don't just want to hear promises, okay, about or giving us hope, assuring us that things that have reduced, that have not reduced, have reduced. The people just want results.
Yes.
It's almost 1 year when we are hoping that President Tinubu will give his own State of the Union address. He cannot come on May 29 and still be telling us to be patient and that he's promising and he's giving us hope. No, hope is not enough to address the demons of our stomachs.
Wow, demons of our stomach. I'd like to go on both stories, really, just to juxtapose the fact that, there were those kidnappings in Kaduna State and the President of the Senate saying insecurity has reduced.
So, following the spate of insecurity and kidnapping of children in schools,
yes,
there was a coalition between government and the private sector, and with funding from the support funding from the United Nations to set up what is called the Safe School Initiative. And with that happening, the UN Envoy on Education, Special Envoy on Education, Gordon Brown, had mentioned and launched the $10 billion fund with promised counter-funding from the private sector. Since then, did you see the state of the school?
Yes, there was
It
no
was
fence.
open. It didn't look like a school. This is the kind of place that we are sending our children to go to, in a place where there are heightened concerns around security. Beyond that, in 2022, December 2022, another huge noise was made around 1.4 billion naira being invested in Safe School Initiative in Nigeria. Where has the money gone to? Was it disbursed? Who was paid for it? And why are children still in unsafe environments in institutions of learning? This is very sad, Oji, because the children are as young as 8 years old.
Yes, that's
their
the
only
saddest
crime
part
is
of
that
it.
they went to school and they're in pursuit of education.
Yes.
Especially in the north, we have a massive out-of-school children challenge. And yet, when you hear things like this, what is the incentive for parents to send their children to school? Parents would rather have their child alive than going to school and being kidnapped without, hopefully, though, what we're hoping for is that the government would keep to their promise of bringing back the children. And so these are some of the things that we're facing. Beyond that, Senate President Akpabio's statement is actually an indication of why we still have these issues being persistent.
Yes.
A lack of, will I say, political will or seriousness to address the insecurity challenges that we have. When we keep telling ourselves untruths that, oh, things are better, then we will not take the situation as seriously as we ought to do it. I wonder I would love to hear what he has to say about this. Is this another aberration? The reason why this has also persisted is the fact that where are the consequences?
Yes.
Where are the sanctions? Chibok happened in Borno State. Dapchi happened in Yobe State. Now we have this in Kaduna State. What will happen? We'll make a huge, there'll be headlines around this. Where are the arrests? What are the deterrents? So it's just like, oh, we'll do. Then 200 children being captured.
Certainly
where were the security agents? On this? So
they?
it's really sad.
Absolutely.
And I don't think this administration has demonstrated enough seriousness to see that they want to tackle this insecurity challenge, especially kidnapping, banditry, and terrorism in some parts of the state. It's very sad.
Thanks for watching. Bye.